You are live, Lisa. Lisa, you are live.
Okay, I am. Well, I'm trying to get everything out of the way. Hi, everybody. Um, okay, so I don't know. This is my first time on this platform, so I'm not exactly sure how it all works. I was hoping I could see some names or something, but no, no hand raising or anything. I'm just asking about the platform. Okay. Don't freeze up on you guys. My name is Lisa Gross, and I'm a domestic violence advocate. I thank you all for having me. Um, we had to work out this technical difficulties, but um, as you know, February um, is the month that we investigate and look into and educate ourselves about teen dating violence. And this is something that gets overlooked a lot, and people think that young people aren't, getting into any, violent situations. And so they tend to miss out on the fact that this is a real issue and that it is something that needs to be um, looked out for. So what I wanted to start out with was making sure that we know what the red flags are. And this would be something that would be for not only teenagers so that they can look and find out for themselves if they're in a domestic violence situation, um, but then also for parents and for friends that might notice some of these same things. And so when we look into this, um, we're looking for things. Hold on a second. I got this so small I can't see. um, yeah, so we're looking for things like controlling behavior. In other words, trying to control who the person hangs out with, where they go and don't go, and how they dress, who they're allowed to talk to, you know, and jealousy. Sometimes uh, we say, "Oh, he just loved me so much. He just jealous like that because he loved me," but that's not healthy and that's not love. You know that they even get jealous of the time you spend with your family. They want to isolate you from your best friends and things like that, people that you normally hang with. So those are red flags. That's something that's abnormal. Um, and then trying to rush the relationship, like you're in a hurry to make this relationship. You're acting like we've been in this relationship for 6 months and we only been in it for 6 days. You know, being overly familiar with you right away. Um, that's not that's like red flags. That's not normal for someone to act that way. But they'll give you excuses and try to convince you that it's because of their feelings for you that they feel that way or whatever. But that's not normal to move that fast. And then unrealistic expectations. So they want you to meet all their needs. They want you to be perfect. And the sad part about it is that you're not um, you're going to be belittled and put down and told that you're not loving them the way they like they love you or something like that. And so it's kind of putting you in an awkward position, like you feel like you got to prove your love to this person, and it ain't even time to be in love yet, you know, but they're forcing it. And it goes along with that speeding things along too, because whereas they're acting like they're head over heels and you haven't even gotten to that feeling yet, it's like they're telling you that you're a bad person because I love you this much and you don't love me that much, you know. And then whatever problems they have or whatever they do wrong to you, you know, verbal, emotional abuse, physical, and even sexual abuse, like forcing themselves on you, they'll blame you for it. It'll be your fault, you know. And the challenging part for you in that situation is understanding that it's not your fault and keeping a level head and knowing that this is not normal. And see, this is what all these red flags, they're things that's just not normal. But they're going to make you think it's normal, and they're going to make you think it's a good thing that I feel this way about you. But that's never a good idea for anybody to feel that way and to feel that you're supposed to fulfill all their needs and you're supposed to be in charge of their behaviors, and if they have bad behaviors, then that's your fault. Never your fault. Never take blame for what someone else is doing, because you can't control what that person does. So how could you ever be at fault? Okay. And then the sad part about it is a lot of these abusers, and I say abusers because abusers, they could be male or female. They have feelings that they have because maybe they've experienced abuse, you know, at home with their parents or watching their parents and learning these behaviors or whatever. And they're going to have feelings and you know, and their issues and stuff like that. And then they're going to blame you for that too. When in actuality, this is an issue that they had way before they even met you. You know, it all has to do with what happened to them growing up, or what they, like I said, children learn what they live. So if this is what he's lived or she's lived, where they're in a household where they're witnessing domestic violence, then this seems normal to them. And so we want to make sure that we realize that, you know what, that's your feelings, and I have nothing to do with that. That's not my concern. That's not what that's not something I have control over. Maybe that's something you need to work out, but you need to be understanding that these things only escalate and they only get worse. Okay? It's not like they're going to wake up one morning and, okay, I'm better now. And no matter how much you love them, they're not going to change. All the controlling, the jealousy, the blaming, all of that is just only going to get worse. And it escalates after a while. So you might see them, it's called hypersensitivity. So you'll say something to them, and you probably said it to so many people and nobody thought anything of it. But this person, they're hypersensitive. So now they're offended. They're highly offended, and they're feeling like you done did something that really hurt their feelings. And you're looking puzzled because you're like, it never bothered anybody else. But for them, they'll tell you, oh, well, that's them. This is me, or whatever. But the thing is, in your heart of hearts, if you know that what you're saying is something that usually people laugh about, or you can have conversations with people about, and nobody gets offended or get their feelings hurt, you know, they're not overly sensitive about it, then you're looking at a red flag, because you have to realize that something is off here. You're looking for that stuff. It's just off a little. Like this is doesn't seem right, you know. So you have to look at that. And then you also may witness them being cruel to children or cruel to animals. They're actually giving you a foregleam of what they're going to be doing to you. You know, whether it's verbal, emotional, physical, you know, it's going to be something that originally they act like, you know, they love you and this and that, but sooner or later the physical comes in and it escalates so they get to the point that now they're actually you know, doing little things just to, you know, and they might tell you, oh, I was just joking with you or something like that, so that they make you feel like you're overreacting, which is a form of what's called gaslighting, making you think that something, you're crazy, or that you're, you know, something's wrong with you, and that you can't take a joke, and oh well, you know, you trying to judge me, and next thing you know, they're doing these things to you, and they're going to take any little mistake you've ever made, blow it out of proportion, and they're going to take the attention off of themselves and put the attention on you. And next thing you know, you're explaining yourself to them, and you're trying to get them to understand, like you're apologizing now, when in actuality they are the ones that should be apologizing to you. But these are your red flags that you need to get out of that relationship. And the longer you're there, the harder it is to get out, you know. And if you're not ready to have sex, no one should ever force you to have sex. But what they do, they make it like they're playing around with you, and but yet instead they're being sexual, and they're trying to ease their way in, because see, remember, they have to escalate the relationship like really quick. So in order to escalate it really quick, you got to get to the intimate phase, right? So if you're not ready for that, they're, you know, they're quick to try to force themselves. And you might find those ones that try to act like they're cooperative, and they're gonna wait, but you'll see them, they'll keep keeping it, you know, in the subject of conversation, and they might touch inappropriately or whatever. They're just trying to ease you into it so that they can, you know, get the relationship to move faster, you know, because once you've been intimate with somebody, then, you know, all the expectations change, right? You know, I mean, it's not, it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're really dating now. We didn't had sex, but that's not how that works. You're allowed to wait as long as you want, and no one is supposed to force you, ever. And if you say no, this is not what you want to do, anything else past that is a form of sexual assault. And you should know, another red flag, time, you know, time to get out, you know. And then when they act, it's what we called back in the day, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's male chauvinism. So they're very rigid about what females' roles are and what male roles are. And if you do anything that you know, that is what they consider not that a female shouldn't do, or that a male shouldn't do, then then there comes the attack. And that rigid role of male and female It's so rigid that you have no flexibility. And when you feel like you pinned in a box and you can't relax and you can't be yourself, if you can't relax and be yourself, that's a red flag. See, you know, and even when you're trying to be assertive with them and let them know that, you know, something they're doing is just not right and that you don't like it or whatever, they'll try to run that game on you too, that you're not acting the way a woman's supposed to act, or you're not acting the way a man is supposed to act, because they have these very rigid rules and they're putting you in a little box, you know. And so you want to make sure that if they're having that problem with you and you can't be yourself, that's another red flag to tell you to get out, you know. And then you got the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It was an old movie, and the doctor was the normal one, but Mr. Hyde, he would change into this really bad person. So he goes from being super, super nice to super, super mean. And you're wondering, how did he go from 0 to 100 in 30 seconds? It's a red flag. You know, one minute they're being nice. And that's another thing too, when they're rushing the relationship along, they'll try to be extra, extra nice to you in the beginning. If a guy is being overly, overly nice and just doing too much for you too fast, it's a red flag. We love to be wined and dined, and we love for guys to take us out to eat or buy us flowers, or, you know, take us shopping and buy us a blouse or whatever. But if they're going all in and it's just going really, really fast, you know, when a guy is trying to do too much too fast, you know, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, you should get an uncomfortable feeling. That's your red flag. It's coming up and it's saying, hey, it's time to go. This guy, something's wrong with him. Okay. So pay attention to that, you know. And then sometimes they'll talk real, real bad about their exes. I mean, like, and you'll never hear anything they did wrong. They always make it seem like they did nothing wrong and that this other person they dated did them so wrong. And if they never can tell you anything they did wrong, that's a red flag, because now you know that not only was this an abusive relationship, but the same way he's blaming you for everything he does and everything he feels and everything he says, he did the same thing with this person. And that person is why, this is why that person is to blame for everything. The whole failing of the relationship was all that person, ex's fault. They did nothing wrong, you know. So you have to keep your eyes open for that, because it can seem like you're supposed to feel sorry for them, and oh, you were in that bad relationship, and oh no, I'll treat you better. And I don't care how good you treat them, you're going to still come out as the bad guy. And if you stay too long, it will escalate, as I said before. So you got to be very, very careful. And, you know, then they get to this point where they're forcing arguments, you know, and you're like, why is he trying to start an argument? Or why is she trying to start an argument? That's your red flag. Most people want peace. They want a peaceful relationship. They want things to be happy and calm and have a positive vibe and things. But when you're dealing with an abusive person, they don't want peace. They want drama. They want lots of it. And so they when you're the slightest little thing you say, they can twist it and make it something that they can make out of an argument. And next thing you know, you're in the middle of an argument and you don't know how you got there. Why? Because that person forced that argument. That was their whole thing, is to force that argument, you know. And then you might see them, they might punch walls, they might throw things, they might just break stuff, you know. And you have to be concerned about that, because they're actually giving you a foreglimpse of what they want to do to you. I I I don't want to talk too much about myself because I'm not here to trigger anybody, but I'm gonna say trigger warning that being thrown across a room like I was an object, you know, that is something that I mean when I say they're throwing stuff, they're breaking stuff, you know, punching holes in walls and stuff. They're giving you a preview of what they're going to eventually do to you. When you see them being violent with other things, like tearing up stuff, you need to run. You need to run, because that is a very dangerous situation. And it's so um it's so unnerving that it does leave you with PTSD. All of this verbal and emotional abuse, it doesn't go away. You learn to cope with it. But when they start doing those things, it really, really stirs up PTSD. And it's not something that you can control, because it's almost like a blind anger they have, and they don't realize, anything going on around them, anything. Then it escalates to those threats of violence. Now you're getting threats. But when you say something about it, they'll say they're joking, or they'll say, you know, you overreacting, and man, you know I'm just playing with you. No, they're not. No, people never play by threatening to cause harm to you. That's not how that works. Not at all. You know. And then if you start getting that threat where they're, like if they can't control you, then now they're threatening not only violence, or maybe they've already started being violent, but now they're talking about they'll kill you if you leave. And that is the part that we're trying to get you guys to avoid. That's why the sooner you get out, the better. But if you try to take away their control and power, like once they've been controlling you and having power over you and what you do, what you don't do, who you associate with, you can't even speak to another male. And sometimes they don't want you to even deal with your family or your friend that you've been friends with for 10 years or 5 years or whatever. That's time that what, this ain't gonna work. It's not working, and you get out right away, because the longer you are there, the higher your risk is for physical violence, and the higher your risk is that they will try to harm you. And it's so sad, that we hear about these things in the news, like even high school students, killing high school students and killing the mother. They want to kill people in your family or your best friend. So this is why we are doing this, because it's so important. It's so important. And I know it's hard to talk about. I know it's hard, You know, um, believe it or not, we have such a high rate of teen violence, and only about, I'll say, maybe three out of, I think it's 3 out of 7, I think. Um, don't quote me on that. I got it somewhere, but that actually tells somebody that they're being abused, you know, because they scare you and they tell you you better not tell anybody. And so now you're terrified and you can't tell anybody because they're going to hurt you and they're going to hurt, they threaten to hurt family members and friends. And so now you have to be quiet, you know. But what you have to do is you have to, like, we have the resources scrolling here, but also you have to make sure that when you talk to somebody and you get these resources, then mom and dad, I'm hoping you're on here, you want to follow the directions of that resource, because you never let them know that you're going to leave them alone. You never let them know it. You have to sneak away, because if you just announce it, like after they've had so much control and power, you announce it, see, then that puts you in danger. But if you get all your ducks in a row, using the resources, getting things that you need in order to be able to get the help that you need, then that way you can get the help in a way that he's not aware that you're trying to get out of this relationship. So that way he's not after you like that. Now, some things for mom, and dad. You looking at your baby is acting a little sad. Maybe they hanging out in the room all alone. My mom always said the eyes are the window to the soul. And if you look in your baby's eyes, you can see that they're sad. You can see that they're afraid. You can see that in their eyes. That's the first thing. But then you look at the fact, like, is my teenager having to call this person and ask for permission to go places, or they have to announce to this person where they're getting ready to go? Say y'all getting ready to go out to dinner or something, and they got to call and let this person know where they going, and and all of that. See, now you know that it's somebody that's overly controlling your child, male or female. They're being overly controlled, because you should not have to. If somebody's keeping tabs like that on your child, something's wrong. That's a red flag. If you don't see your child hanging out with their friends like they used to, and this person is monopolizing all their time, whether it's on the phone or in person, that's a red flag. Okay? Another thing, if your child starts being a little, like, acting out, being a little disobedient, I tell you, they had me convinced that the things my mom and dad taught me was wrong. My abuser did. My first time abused, I was 16. And it has you questioning your upbringing, has you questioning your parents, because they have to turn you against your parents so that way they can have more control. And that way you won't be talking to your parents about what they're doing to you, because you feel they convinced you that what they're doing is right and what your mom and dad are teaching you is wrong. So that gives them more control. It's a form of isolation, because once they isolate you, there's nobody there to witness what this abuser is doing to you, so that they can say, man, that ain't right. That man, dude is crazy. You know how our friends talk. They gonna tell you, dude, you need to leave him alone. But if they can isolate you from everyone and get you manipulated in your mind that what you listen to them, you don't listen to your parents, you don't listen to your friends, your cousins, nobody. You listen to me and only me. And the only person right is me. Like, you not even right. Like, even when you try to question anything, they're gonna let you know you're doing something wrong. Whether it's the argument or physical violence or whatever. So, parents, we're looking for our child isolating themselves, being extra sad, being, acting out, and especially, having a form of disrespect for you that they didn't have before. Now, we know teenagers, they get, mouthy, but when they really can't find anything good in anything you do, you know that somebody is turning them against you. And so that's a red flag that you look for, you know, because if you don't see these red flags, it can escalate to the point that they are physically abusing them and then threatening to kill them, you know. And a lot of these threats, they don't go unfulfilled, and I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm saying it because it is so very important. And it is a matter of life and death. Sometimes not just your child, but like in the one case where the young man even uh, uh, um, um, shot the mom too. So it's like we want to pay attention, and we want to have our lines of communication open. And when they start dating somebody, you want to know who it is. You want to meet them, because when they come, if they got this, um, it's like a abrasive behavior, and maybe they lack, like they're very insensitive, or maybe a little rude, or a little, you know, it's like, and young ones, you got to listen to mom and dad. You know, if this person is not acting right, especially if they're not acting right in front of your parents, you know, it's something for you to pay attention to, you know, because it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. Okay. Um, I did want to take some questions, but I'm not sure how this works. And I didn't want to leave you guys without, um, with stuff that you don't have anything that you need. But what I'd like to do, um, I know that they have, uh, um, okay. Ethelyn said she'll send me the questions, and I did want to also send, it's I have some hotlines and stuff that I about. Okay. All right. So when I have a question here, how do you tell your parents you are being abused? So um, first of all, and parents, I want to let you know when your children come to you, do not accuse, do not belittle, do not criticize, okay? Because this could mean your life and their life too, okay? But you have to let your mom and dad know, Mom, Dad, I got something that's very serious that I really need to talk about. I think I'm in a very dangerous situation and I don't know how to get out of it. See, and that gets the attention of your parents, because first things parents want to do is protect their child. So once you let them know that you're in a dangerous position, and then you start telling them about the behaviors that has been troubling to you, you know, and you also uh, let them know about the things that's being said to you, and if there's been any threats, okay, and you let them know that I'm scared and that I believe he's going to carry these things out. And there is a I I I guess this hotline is local, but I know they have a 24/7 800 hotline too. But the hotline here is 414-323. Wait, I'm gonna get it right. 414-432-3555. That's 414-432-3555. Okay? And it is 24 hours. It is 24 hours. Okay. Can I press charges on an abusive teen partner? Most definitely you can, because it doesn't make a difference what age you are. If you're doing any kind of domestic violence, then that right there is grounds for charges to be pressed on you. Now, I got my training at Sojourner, and we had what they call a lethality scale. Lethal meaning low, like how much of a risk is it that this person is on lethality scale. And we took calls directly from police officers on the scene, on the hotline there at Sojourner. And so depending on that, that will determine to the time. But whatever you do, don't let him or his family or anybody intimidate you into not pressing charges. Because if you don't press charges, he will be right back out on the street. And that's what gets the law really frustrated, because they go through all these steps to try to protect you and get you help and stuff, and then they turn around and they don't press charges. And you let them know, we're pressing charges to the full extent of the law because we need to be protected, you know. um and if you go down to Sojourner, for one thing, Sojourner is at the courthouse, and they actually have advocates there that go to court with you and everything. But you can go to Sojourner and let them know what's happening, and ask them, how can you go about, you know, doing things from that angle as well? Because what I have found when I, you know, was working there, even though we have like adults and you know, women with families, um, it's not for men that are being abused, you know, sad to say, but women, it's the shelter there is for women and families. Um, but they can direct you if you feel like you're lost and you're not sure which way to go. But they do have advocates that are at the courthouse there to answer your questions. Okay. Yes, you can do a restraining order on a teenager, because once that person has threatened you, or once that person has put their hands on you, whether they raped you, beat you, you know, or whatever, those are grounds for a restraining order, no matter what age you are, you know. And the main thing is to protect the victim. That's the main thing. So in order to protect you, you get your restraining order, and then you would make sure that everybody, the principal, the secretaries, everybody would have uh uh knowledge of that restraining order. Matter of fact, they would have a copy of it. You want a copy at your local police station. You want to carry a copy on you at all times, so that if anything happens and you have to call 911, you're like, I have a restraining order. Okay. So most definitely you can get a restraining order on them. Very much so. And now, we used to have a lot of social workers at school. They don't have a lot of them anymore like they used to in some, like I'll say public schools. I think probably the private schools, they might have a social worker on hand, or and even maybe even a psychologist on hand. But the public schools, they don't have it like that anymore. You usually have a social worker come one day out of a week to public schools. But if you have someone that you trust at school, whether it's public schools or whatever, and you let them know that you're fearing for your life and that you're in an abusive relationship, then they can get the ball rolling on the end of the school. They can get it, get that going for you. And believe it or not, um, Sojourner, one side of Sojourner is the shelter. Okay. Then the other side is what they call the Family Peace Center. In there, you have MPS, you have the YMCA, you have COA, you have the boys club, the boys club, the girls club. You have the a district attorney office in there. You have Children's Hospital for not only psychology, but also um, if say like you got raped or beaten and you went in there, they actually have an evidence room where they will examine you and take evidence that can be taken to court to fight that case. Okay? So sometimes the evidence is on you. You are the evidence. And they actually have an evidence room for that at Sojourner. Okay? So that's why they have those different offices in there, though. So like if something happens to you while you're at school, then they have a mediator that's dual trained. They're trained for Sojourner and they're trained for MPS, or they're trained for, let's say you're in the after school program for the Boys and Girls Club. They're dual trained for the Boys and Girls Club and Sojourner. So they're the mediator between that agency and Sojourner, so that they can mesh their mesh their services and be able to give you the protection and the care and the information you need in order to make this happen. So most definitely so. And like I said, MPS has an office inside a family on when you go in on 6 and Walnut, that's Family Peace Center. And in there is all these different offices of all these different things like Children's Hospital and MPS and Boys and Girls Club and the district attorney. Because when we have women in the shelter, so they don't have to go out to the courthouse to start their restraining order, they go right to the Family Peace Center and go to the district attorney office within Sojourner, and they start their restraining order there. That's how they do that, so that they don't have to go out and go to the courthouse for that. And they get all those things taken care of right there. And you can also get counseling within the building there as well. So yeah, it's a wonderful resource that they have there. And so now, and I know I'm gonna mess this up. Alafia. Did I say it correctly, Ethelene? So yes, so you can contact their 24-hour hotline, and it's scrolling across the screen, but I'm going to repeat it again. It's 414-432-3555. That's 414-432-3555. Okay. And I am so thankful that you all let me come and talk today. And I am so honored. Oh, that is an excellent question. Believe it or not, and I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but believe it or not, you should start as early as, like, I'd say anywhere from like 8 to 10 years old. You should start talking to them. The reason why is because children are growing up so fast. A lot of parents are out at work too, and these kids are raising themselves. They're being exposed to things that they normally would not be exposed to. My grandson, in 3rd grade, these boys were talking about things that no 3rd grader should even know about. And they teased him because he liked Paw Patrol, and it made me upset because I wanted my grandbaby to stay a baby. They took his innocence away in the sense that they're telling him all this stuff that he didn't know anything about. And now he's like, I don't like Paw Patrol anymore, because they teased him about it. So yeah, I would say as soon as 8 to 10 years old. And so far as sexual assault, you should start teaching them from the time that they're able to speak what their private parts are, and that no one has a right to touch them in their private parts. And a lot of people think that you don't tell boys that their chest is a private part, but it is. If somebody's rubbing on your chest, that's sexual, whether you're a boy or a girl. So you want to do that as soon as possible. And you got to reassure them that no matter how much they tell you that you're going to get in trouble if you tell or whatever, I was told I was going to get a real bad whooping if I didn't let, my cousin said I'd get a real bad whooping if I didn't let him do this to me. And I was about 8 years old. But I trigger warning, trigger warning, that's something else I experienced. And so you want to educate your children. The earliest I can remember was 7 years old. So you want to educate your children as soon as possible about sexual assault, because it is rampant and people are doing so much. You know, um, the challenge is keeping the lines of communication open with your children at all times. You don't talk to them about it just once. You talk to them about it over and over, because of the fact that that way they know that it is safe to come and talk to you about it. Okay? And that's what we want to do. Because if we don't, either somebody else is going to be giving them false information, or this abuser is going to be giving them false information that's telling them that it's okay that I treat you this way and that you're the bad person because you caused me to hit you, or you caused me to talk this way, or you know, you hurt my feelings. Just like I said, that hypersensitivity that they have. But then they're very insensitive when it comes to other people, but they're hypersensitive when it comes to themselves, because it's all about them and the control and the power over the person that they're abusing, over their victim. So we want to be very careful. And I just want you guys to make sure that you keep talking to them about that. So now, what signs should parents look for to know if their teens are in an abusive relationship? So this is what we're looking for. They might be isolating themselves. They're not, maybe they've lost their appetite, or maybe they're sleeping a lot more, or maybe they're not hanging out with their friends like they used to, because he's already told her you can't hang out with your friends. Like he's got the control and the power. So it's like, that maybe these kids, they went to grade school and middle school together or something, or middle school and high school, and that they're really best friends, but these best friends aren't getting along with each other, or they're not associating with each other. And then you got to find out what's going on, because they can trick their victim and turn their victim against, like I said, their family, their friends. They can do that. So once you start seeing that your teenager has to call this person and tell them every move they make. Like, nobody is supposed to have to tell somebody every move they make. If you ever overhear this person telling your teenager what they can and can't do, even if they're on the phone and they call their friend back and say, I can't go because so-and-so don't want me to go. Like, okay, you want to go to the movies with your friend, but your friend is telling you that her boyfriend said that she can't go to the movies with you. That's not good. And like I said, the eyes are the window to the soul. But please, 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 young people, please talk to mom and dad. Please, I beg you. I beg you, because it's a matter of life and death. I'm not over exaggerating. I promise you I'm not. It's a thing of, I'm not trying to get you, I'm not trying to scare you. This is not Scared Straight. This is not what this is. This is, I'm giving you facts. And you got to take it seriously, because if you Google, you will find just how prevalent teen dating violence is. And you'll also find out how often teenagers are killed by other teenagers. And not only just the teenagers, sometimes they kill other people in their family. Please, please talk to mom and dad. Mom and dad, please, please listen with love and kindness and be willing to do what you have to do, call the hotline and get help so that you're not in a position where you're, fearing for all of your lives. You know, be understanding and be patient because it's a very scary situation. But then you want to get that restraining order and you want to make sure that the school knows. And if you work somewhere, you want to make sure that the people at work knows what he looks like. And if he ever comes in, call 911. Because this is something that's just that serious. Because it's so many young people that have gotten killed at work. So and like I said, this is not a scare tactic. This is real. I mean, this is like 3,000% real. And you want to take heed, but make sure you look in your baby's eyes. It's going to tell you a lot. But changes in behavior, changes in the temperament of them, that they might be a little short-tempered because they're irritated or because they're scared or because the abuser has turned them against you as their parents. And they will also try to turn that victim against their best friend. So when you start seeing just a whole bunch of different behaviors that just don't fit, that's your red flags. And that's something that makes you, should make your ears perk up and it's time to sit down and have the talk. If they don't have the courage, and remember, it takes a lot of courage for our young people to come to us and tell us things like this. But if they don't have the courage and you suspect something is going on, don't be ashamed or afraid or embarrassed to sit down and have a conversation and ask questions. Ask, is he being mean? Has he ever threatened you? Has he ever told you something was your fault? Has he ever, how often do y'all argue? It's a lot of things. Like the list that I gave you, those things are things that you want to be asking your teenager. I'm trying to see. I think that was the last question, but remember, they're going to try to blame you. Remember, they're going to try to rush the relationship. Parents, if you see this young person and they're just trying to take over in your teen's life, back in the day they had something they called a courting lamp, and it was the cutest little lamp. It was the kind with the bottom and you sit the top over it, but the little candle that was in the courting lamp was like one of those tea lights, and when that burned out, it was time for the suitor to leave. You want to give them time apart from each other. You don't want them overly attached with each other very quickly, and everybody acting like they head over heels and they only been dating 2 weeks, and that's dangerous, because somewhere in there something is not right, because it shouldn't be that way. So make sure that this person is not dominating your teenager's life. Your teenager should still be able to do things with their best friend and be able to go places with their best friend without the boyfriend tagging along. That's another thing, because they're trying to watch them 24/7, and they're trying to make sure that they're not telling their best friend what they're doing wrong to your teenager. So you got to watch out for that. But when they come around you and they're showing that they're just so insensitive, and that, you know, and some of them are bold enough to even show disrespect to your parents. If somebody's disrespecting your parents, you know how they're going to treat you. That is a huge red flag. I had a friend I went to high school with. Well, it was two friends I went to high school with. He was abusing her and her mother. And she wound up having about 12 kids for him. But he went on to just keep abusing them. You know, and the mother was scared of him. And so he just went on and on and on and on and on doing this for a very long time. So, you know, please, please talk to your parents. Parents, please, please be patient and kind and non-judgmental. And be there for their help, for their love, for their compassion, and for their support system. And once again, the 24-hour hotline number is 414-432-3555. 414-432-3555. Okay. Are there any other questions that I don't want you guys to leave, you know, not knowing something. Okay, that's it for the I just hope I'm able to help somebody. That's my whole purpose. You know. And you guys take care, because, you know, I never told my mom about what happened to me when I was 16, but I never went back to that house either. His mother was babysitting my daughter, and I left formula, I left diapers and bottles and everything. I left everything there, and I never went back to that house again. You know, I don't know. I think it was God that let me know. Don't let him know you ain't coming back. I just didn't come back. I left everything and never came back. I didn't give them no clue, because the family was down there hearing him beating me, and they act like it wasn't nothing, which told me that the dad probably beat the mom, and the daughters, his sisters, probably get beat up by their boyfriends. You know, I had seen his brothers beat up their girlfriends. Back then, I didn't know that if you see them doing it, guess what? The whole family do it. Don't let them make you think that. Oh, and that one more thing. Yes, they're going to apologize. Yes, they're going to tell you they will never hit you again. But I bet my very literal life, they're going to hit you again. Believe me, 10,000%, they're going to hit you again. If they hit you once, that is just the very beginning. They're going to hit you again and again and again and again. No matter how many times they apologize, they're not going to change, and they're not going to stop. Don't ever, ever believe those apologies, because they're fake. They're just something to get you to stay so that they can keep controlling you and having power over you. It's all about control and power. They're narcissistic sociopaths, pretty much. That's the bottom line. You're dealing with a narcissistic sociopath. You cannot help them. They need professional help. It's nothing you can do that's going to change them. And if they say they're getting professional help, believe me, it takes years and years and years to work that out of them. So that doesn't mean you date them while they're so-called getting professional help. I've seen people make that mistake too. So don't think you can change them. Don't think you can love them enough that they're going to be nicer. Don't think you can date them while they so-called getting professional help. because all they'll do is stop getting it anyway. They'll get it just to get you to stay. So yes, I had to add that. So and if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to do this today. And you guys talk about this afterwards, okay? Make sure you talk about what you heard today. And maybe even make a pact. You know, I'll be asking you questions. You can come and tell me if something's going on. You know, y'all make that pact with each other to be there and communicate with each other about teen dating violence. Okay? So that way you already have the groundwork laid, so that if that ever happens, you already know, you already have an understanding with each other that you can talk to one another. Okay? All right. I love you all. And I wish you the best, because it's a lot of dangerous young people out here today, a lot of angry young people that do a lot of mean things. So please be careful when you're dating. All right. So do I just sign off, Etheline? That's it? Should I repeat I know it's scrolling, but should I repeat the hotline? Okay. So once again, that 24-hour hotline is 414-432-3555. That's 414-432-3555. Okay. All right. So you guys take care and have a good evening, and know that I didn't want you guys to lose any sleep tonight. I just want you, knowledge is power. And so that's what we're doing. We're giving you the power. So no one can take your power away from you once you have this knowledge. Okay? It's not to scare you and make you have nightmares and stuff. I hope that doesn't happen. That's why I didn't tell you any of my stories, because I'm not trying to give you any triggers. I just want you to be safe. Okay? Healthy and safe. All right? All right. You guys take care. Bye-bye.